Welcome to the Building Doors Podcast, where we're not just pushing for opportunities for women's voices to be heard, we're creating them. I'm Christy Harst, voiceover actor and creator of the Building Doors campaign. Join us as we amplify voices, break barriers, and build doors together.
Hi, I'm Barri Tsavaris, and I'm a door builder in the Building Doors campaign. My journey into voiceover was on a long and winding path. I was always an actor, always a storyteller, but I didn't know that voiceover was a job, like an actual career that you could have if you went into acting. I was one of those kids that was known for being a good reader in school. There was this one time in elementary school, I think I was like 11 years old, and our class got to go to a taping of the Nickelodeon show called Don't Just Sit There. And the producers asked our teachers which kids out of like 200 of us would be the best at narrating the intro at the start of the episode. And the teachers picked 3 kids. I was one of them. And we went backstage and we auditioned for the producer. And they picked me. And the next thing I know, I'm behind a mic in front of a live studio audience, reading the whole intro for this show. And I thought I was going to vomit, but I killed it. I was awesome. I think that's been a running theme for the past 30 years since then. I always feel like I'm going to vomit, but then I kill it. But anyway, I didn't know until I was in my 30s that that thing that I did into the microphone could be a whole career. So I pursued acting more traditionally, both on stage and in front of the camera. I got very involved with improv comedy in New York City. But improv doesn't pay the bills, big surprise. So I always had day jobs. Before voiceover, I worked in the corporate world in New York for 10 years. My first job after college was in the legal department of Goldman Sachs. Then I was at a consulting firm. I worked in human resources. I worked for a luxury jewelry brand. I was all over the place. And these day jobs kind of took over my life and kept me from pursuing acting fully. But then the housing crisis happened and half of New York City was laid off in 2009. I spent a year unemployed in New York. Don't recommend that. And it was time for a change. I'd always wanted to live abroad. I had just gone through a divorce. Don't recommend that either. And I just felt like the universe was telling me, go now. Long story short, I decided to move to Korea to teach ESL, to teach English to elementary school kids. I got there and I actually discovered a whole expat community that was creative and making theater and art and music. And I got very involved in this community. And it was through doing theater that I met a woman working on a production of the Vagina Monologues, of all things, who was a voice actor in Seoul, who pulled me into the business, introduced me to her agent. I went in, recorded some demos, and the next thing I know, this Korean agent is sending me to voiceover jobs all over Seoul. And voiceover in Korea at that time was wild. The agent would give you the address and the time of the job, and that was it. This is before smartphones. So you're walking around Seoul with like a printed out map trying to find these studios. You show up not knowing what the project was, who the client was. You didn't even know the genre. Singing in kids' voices? Sure. Storybooks with 17 different animal voices? Yeah, okay. A global commercial for Samsung and the entire marketing team from corporate is in the studio? Yeah, why not? It was wild. It was a crash course. I learned everything on the job. And looking back, I'm grateful. I was so fortunate. And the market there is so saturated now, you can't do that anymore. Anyway, I was doing VO part-time in Korea for 8 months while still teaching. And I finally knew that this was the path for me when it came time to renew my contract with the school where I taught. I spoke to my Korean VO agent about it, and he said, quit your job. Quit now. And so I took yet another leap of faith. I bet on myself once again, and I quit. And I never looked back. I was able to navigate this very unpredictable, high-stakes, high-risk, and often ridiculous work situation in Korea because I had 10 years of New York City corporate experience under my belt. I was already great at deciphering what executives and coworkers wanted, and I leaned on that skill when I moved abroad. It's just now I had to decipher what Korean clients wanted, many of whom didn't speak much English. You learn to rely on charades and body language a lot. It works. But I knew that this insane path I was on, this path that most other people couldn't believe, let alone even imagine, I knew I was on the right path when I started hearing my voice in the wild in Korea. Specifically, when I was riding the train with my friends, the KTX train, which runs throughout the country, and we heard my voice. I'm the voice of KTX. That was when I knew, all right, I've arrived. I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. So because I worked in so many different genres in Korea, because the agency just threw you into everything, I got that crash course, and I can't say that I specialize in one particular thing. I still work in a lot of these genres. I do a lot of e-learning, which goes back to my teaching background, a lot of corporate work, corporate e-learning, corporate narrations, because I have that refined New York City corporate background. And I also do a lot of animation and video games because I have my stage background and my character training. As far as a dream job or a dream client, that's a tough one because I love so many things. I love to travel and explore. I love food. Oh my God, I love to eat. I'm huge into fitness and yoga. I'm passionate about social issues and the environment. So I guess the dream job is anything where I can tell a story that I truly connect to, any project that I feel is collaborative with the client. I want to be the voice for companies that are doing good work in the world, even if they're not household names yet. Also, I'm a little bit bougie, so I'd love to work with luxury brands. Jewelry, automotive, hotels. I stay in a lot of hotels, so that makes sense. I'd also love to incorporate my character and acting chops into voiceover jobs. My dream animation role would be a character like Princess Carolyn from BoJack Horseman or Pam from Archer, just like fun, quirky, unapologetic women. My voice stands out because of my life experience. My lived experience has shaped everything about how I approach voiceover work. Over the past year, life has thrown me some serious curveballs. I've faced personal challenges that I never saw coming. Through it all, I've discovered a resilience I didn't know I possessed. When life gets rough, I want to remind anyone who's listening right now to keep these things in mind. These are 3 things I learned. 1, if you build it, they will come. I know, cheesy, field of dreams. But if you build a network of people and you work on building and maintaining those relationships, they will be there when you need them. 2, it's okay to pause. It's okay to rest. You won't be forgotten. Odds are that people haven't even noticed you've paused because we're all the main characters of our own stories. So it's easy to think that all eyes are on you when you're going through something monumental, but really they're not. Everyone's obsessed with themselves. And 3, your struggles become your superpowers. That emotional depth and resilience you gain from difficult experiences often translates into more authentic, compelling performances. And clients and audiences, they can feel that even if they can't name why. So, how do I bring scripts to life in a way that connects with the audience? Well, that authenticity I just talked about, that's a part of it. It comes from really understanding people. Because I lived abroad for so long, in Asia for 14 years, in London when I was in college, and now I'm in Canada, and I'm from New York originally, I've learned that authentic connection transcends cultural boundaries. It's about finding the universal emotions we all share. I think about the audience as real people with real lives. Maybe someone learning a new skill during their lunch break on an e-learning course, or a parent watching a commercial while their kids are playing nearby. My job isn't to perform at them, but to have a conversation with them. So I use that global perspective, and it helps me understand that audiences everywhere are looking for authenticity and for someone who gets it. That's universal. I love working live with clients. Great feedback is when a client says, I never thought of saying it that way, but I actually really love the way you did that. This happens regularly to me because of my improv background. You learn to say yes and to whatever comes your way. You're not just reading words off a page, you're actively listening and responding with authentic, unexpected choices. So my improv and music background really influenced my voiceover style. Finding the game in a scene connects directly to finding the game in a script. Discovering humor in repeated words or phrases, or realizing a statement might land better as a question. I also played double bass in orchestras for years, so I think of scripts in musical terms. There's a cadence to every piece of copy, a rhythm to it. The double bass taught me about being the foundation, supporting the melody without overwhelming it. And listening, both improv and music, taught me to listen deeply, not just to what's written, but what's underneath, the subtext, which is very important in voiceover. You're coming in as the final piece of a puzzle that's been carefully crafted for weeks or months, or sometimes even years if you're talking about like video games or animations. So as a voiceover talent, you need to honor that existing vision while bringing your own interpretive choices to make it all come alive. And improv and music are things that really help me with that. What's one fun fact about me that people might not expect? I love antique stores and thrift stores. These inanimate objects have lived their entire lives somewhere else. And then for whatever reason, they ended up in this place with all these other random items, all just sharing this like weird, interesting space. It's wild. And I love to see what items people gravitate towards and touch and pick up. You can learn so much about somebody by watching them in an antique store. Highly recommended. If my voice were a brand, what would it be known for? My voice brand would be charmingly unhinged. Like, think about your most sarcastic friend who actually knows what she's talking about because she has lived a life. It's the voice of a woman who takes leaps of faith, who bets on herself, the crazy aunt who moved around the world on a whim and takes creative risks that make everyone nervous, but somehow they always work out. And she has questionable life choices, but great comic timing. Yeah, charmingly unhinged. That's my brand. Thank you for checking out my Building Doors podcast episode and for your support of this very important campaign. My name is Barri, that's 2 R's and an I, and if you'd like to work together, you can email me at barri@barrivoiceover.com or check out my website, barrivoiceover.com, to hear more of my work. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the Building Doors podcast. Want to hear more? Check out all our episodes at buildingdoorsvo.com/podcast and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at buildingdoorsvo. We'd love to hear from you, so call us on our 24/7 hotline at 216-307-1917 and leave us a voicemail with your thoughts. Do you want to support the podcast? Well, we love coffee. Buy us a cup through the link in the description or at buildingdoorsvo.com. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep speaking up, and let's keep building doors together.